remembers the family computer, this huge box of a monitor sitting in the corner, pixelated everything. The slow hum as it turned on, that loading screen that felt like it took forever. Logging into Windows XP just to play a game or to get on AOL and chat with my friends on IM after school. That was a different time. Things moved slower, and we didn't have everything at our fingertips. We had to wait. We had to log on, and we had to want it. Back then, we got online to escape the world, not scroll through it. If you grew up around the same time as me, you remember having a whole internet identity. DeviantArt, where you had an art gallery and a following before that even meant something. Zanga and LiveJournal, where people actually wrote about their lives in full paragraphs. Yahoo Answers, where you can ask a stranger anything, and somebody, usually three somebodies, would actually respond. Aim away messages that were basically your personal manifesto in 150 characters or less. And we weren't just scrolling, we were building something. Little corners of the internet that felt like ours. We weren't consumers. We were citizens of these digital worlds, and we made them weird and specific and human on purpose. I remember my older siblings waiting until after 9 p.m. so they can text their friends. 3 minutes from Singular and T-Mobile. There was a clock on connection back then. A boundary. A pause. And then there was my sister's MySpace page. I'd watch as she customized her layout, changing the colors, picking the right song that played when you visited her profile, adjusting the HTML so things looked just right. That was the first time I saw design and code do something together. That was the first time I thought, I want to do that too. Without even knowing what design was, I was already learning. Word art, aim away messages, MySpace bios. We were all making something, even if we didn't call it that yet. So I've been thinking lately about then, about now, and about what's changed. Why does everything look the same? Why does it feel like we've lost something along the way? And how do we find our way forward when the rules keep changing? Today, I want to take you back, then I want to bring you forward and ask, where do we go next? Where do we go from here? I'm Sunny, creative director, designer, and founder of Sunni Aesthetics. Welcome back, and let's get into it. To understand why everything looks the same now, we have to go back to a time when things didn't. The world used to feel bigger, slower, more distinct. Not because life was easier, but because we weren't all looking at the same things all the time. Back then, the consumer market moved at a different pace. Trends didn't shift every week. Brands had decades to build their personality. A logo meant something. A storefront felt like the city it lived in. A magazine had a voice you could recognize without seeing the cover. Access was different too. If you wanted information, you had to look for it. You had to know someone, go somewhere, or read something specific. The people who became cultural giants, your Steve Jobs, your Bill Gates, they weren't just talented, they had access. Family resources, communities, and networks. Most of us had to make our own access. That's why subcultures mattered. Hippies, punks, hip-hop, rap, grunge, emo, goth, skater, futurist. Each one had a sound, a look, a language, a uniform you could spot from across the room. You didn't scroll into your subculture. You lived into it. You built it with your friends. You wore it in your clothes, your music, the way you talked. It wasn't just curated by an algorithm. It was built by community. It was you on purpose. And they were always reflecting the world around them. Civil rights, Woodstock, the Berlin Wall coming down, Reaganomics, Vietnam, music, fashion, design, all of it was a response to what was happening. Culture had a pulse. We also had third places: coffee shops, record stores, malls, libraries, skate parks, places that weren't home and they weren't work, but it's where life actually happened. And it was affordable too, of course, but it's where you met your friends without a calendar invite, where you got bored and you talked to strangers, discovering new things by accident. Then things started to shift. Everyone got a computer at home. The internet became a daily thing. We went from dial-up and AOL to broadband, from MySpace to Facebook, from Bebo and Napster to Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Silicon Valley took over. The aesthetics changed. Everything got cleaner, flatter, smoother, and wider. And then we got smartphones. The world fit into our pocket. We went from logging on to being permanently online. Music shifted, reality TV set the culture, MTV, VH1, the line from celebrity and audience started to blur. We didn't notice it then, but we were being introduced to a new kind of world, one where access was everywhere and character started disappearing. Fast forward to today, I'm scrolling through Instagram. Every brand looks the same. The same sans serif font, the soft pastel color palette, the same 5 layouts, the same 5 filters, the same 5 fonts, and on and on. And I walk into a coffee shop. I see beige walls, the subway tile, the Edison bulbs, the same menu board, the same minimalist logo on the cups. It's giving hipsters. Then I open my phone. Every app icon is a flat geometric shape. Every website is a centered hero image with 2 sentences and a button. When did everything start looking the same? Brands used to have faces, personalities, quirks. Now they have vibes, wordmarks, sans serif, Helvetica, sterile, safe, unforgettable. Pringles moved out their mascot's face. Mr. Peanut lost its character. Tropicana's rebrand in 2009 was such a disaster, they had to walk it back within weeks. Saint Laurent dropped the Eve and went minimal. Burberry stripped their identity down before quietly bringing it back. Johnson & Johnson swapped their script logo for sans serif. And Warner Brothers lost the character they spent a century building. R.I.P. Mr. Frog. Write your name. But it happened everywhere, all at once. And I'm not talking about the movie. So what happens? Algorithm pressure. Social media rewards sameness. What gets engagement gets copied. Templates over originality. Canva democratized design, which is amazing. But it has also flattened it. Scaling for digital. Brands need to look good at a 16 by 16 pixels on your phone. Designers, you know what I'm talking about. It's super small. Details get sacrificed just for clarity. And mobile-first thinking erased ornamentation. Corporate risk aversion. Big brands hire big agencies. Big agencies test designs to death. What tests as safe wins over what's bold. Distinctiveness feels risky in a quarterly earnings world. And it's not just designers making these decisions. Product managers, marketers, engineers, operation leads, everyone has a hand in what gets built and how it looks when the whole system is optimizing for safety and scale. Design becomes the last voice in the room or gets cut out entirely. Tech bro aesthetics, Silicon Valley culture took over the design language. Apple set the tone. Everyone copy Apple. Now everything is clean and modern and sleek, which is another way of saying boring. Influencer culture, same filters, same poses, same aesthetic on socials. The algorithm rewards uniformity. Personal brands started to look like corporate brands. Authenticity got commodified. And then there's the overpriced hipster effect. Don't forget the man buns. Coffee shops, restaurants, boutiques, all using the same playbook. Aesthetic became a checklist, a subway tile, a neon sign, plants. Local character got replaced by Instagram bait. We didn't just lose old logos. We lost personality. We lost place. We lost story. A McDonald's in Atlanta used to feel like Atlanta. A McDonald's in Tokyo used to feel like Tokyo. And a storefront in Brooklyn used to feel like Brooklyn, but now they all just feel generic. A brand's logo used to tell you who they were. Now it tells you they hired the same agency as everyone else. When everything looks the same, nothing means anything. So what now? Do we just accept that this is how things are? Or do we go back and look at what we lost to figure out what we want to bring forward? Design with intention isn't new. We've seen it before. Think about the Obama Hope poster. Reds, blues, creams, bold lines, a face you couldn't forget. That image wasn't built for algorithms. It was built to mean something. And it did. Or Moon Glazer's I Love New York. A heart, 3 letters. One of the most copied designs in history. Made in 1977 for a city that was struggling. Still iconic almost 50 years later. Design used to know what it was for. But here's the thing. Some brands didn't get the memo. Some brands still know exactly who they are. Liquid Death sells water like it's a heavy metal record. Loud, weird, and unforgettable. Omsom refuses to soften. Loud, proud Asian American flavor slapped right on the front of every box. Olipop turns soda into a nostalgia. Vintage type, bold color. A throwback that still feels like now. Gia made non-alcoholic drinks feel sophisticated. Earth tone, sensual photography, a whole world where you want to live in. Channy built a brand around spirituality with intention. Soft, mystical, mysterious, and unmistakable. Kenya Forex turned functional drinks into a vibe. Warm, dreamy, and grounded. Partake Foods is allergen-free, clean, Black-owned, but with a little soul. And then there's Tabasco, the Patreon saint of consistency. Same bottle, same label, over 100 years. They never rebranded because they knew they never had to. They always knew exactly who they were. None of these brands look the same. They look like themselves. That's the difference. That's what good design does. These brands didn't water themselves down just to be palatable. They didn't smooth out their edges to fit in. They built identities that meant something. To them, to their audience, to their people, to anyone paying attention. That's what corporate minimalism forgot. They didn't follow the algorithm. They built something the algorithm now follows. So how do we change things? How do we get out of the sameness? I think it starts with going back, not to copy what came before, but to remember what design could be. Movements had visual identities. Music had aesthetics. Subcultures had looks you could spot from across the room. Hippies, the punks, hip-hop, grunge, goth, skater, Y2K. Everyone knew who they were. We're in a recycling era right now. Nostalgia is being mined for content. Y2K, indie sleaze, cottagecore, dark academia, all of it being repackaged faster than we can experience it. But there's a difference between inspiration and imitation. Going back to remember versus going back to copy. The way forward isn't about chasing the next trend. It's about building things with intention. Things rooted in community. Things that respect privacy. Things that have a point of view. We don't have to live in the sameness. We can build things that feel like us, brands that have personality, spaces that have character, and stories that have soul. That's what I'm trying to do with Sunni Aesthetics. That's what season 2 is all about, finding our way forward with intention. What's a brand you think is doing it right? What's a moment from the old internet that you miss? Not to panic, not nostalgia, evolution. How do we keep up with changes while still staying authentic to who we are? I think the answer is in the brands building it differently right now and what we can make next. So let's figure it out together. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next conversation. If this hit something for you, drop a comment. I want to know. I'm Sunny, and this was the 4% Amplified. Season 2, Shifting Perspective. See the vision, feel the vibe, and shift the perspective. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to turn on the bells to subscribe, guys.